Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Terumot. We're up to Perek Yud Aleph, Mishnah Gimel. Today's Mishnah should be Nishmat Neria ben Svetlana Aranbayev and Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov, Menuchatam beGan Eden, Amen. Today's Mishnah is going to teach us another law related to juices from Terumah fruits. The Mishnah says, En osin tmarim dvash. A person may not make dates into date honey, velo tapuchim yain, nor apples into cider, velo sidvaniot chometz, nor winter grapes into vinegar, ush'al kol haperot en mishenin otam mebriatan, nor may he change any other fruits from their natural state by squeezing them into juice, bitruma maser sheni, if they are tiruma or maser sheni. And the Mefarshim explain, changing a food into a liquid is considered destroying the food in a sense, and may not be done to fruits that are terumah or maaser sheni, which are forbidden to be destroyed, as the Rambam tells us in Hilchot Maaser Sheni, chapter 3, halacha 9, that it is forbidden to destroy maaser sheni just as it's forbidden to destroy terumah. Ela zetim anevim bilvad. Rather, the Mishnah says exceptions to this are olives and grapes alone. These may be squeezed for their juice, olive oil and wine, because these liquids have special significance, and producing them is not considered destroying the fruit. The Mefarshim explain, generally, fruit juices are considered inferior to the actual fruit. Therefore, turning a fruit into juice is considered destroying the fruit. Wine and oil, however, are different. The Torah orders that wine and oil are to be given as tirumah, something that it does not do for any other fruit juice. That shows that wine and oil have special significance. Because of this, converting grapes or olives into wine or oil is not considered destroying the fruit. The Mishnah now lists a number of other halachot for which olive oil and wine differ from other fruit juices. The first halakha concerns orla. Orla, we know, is fruit that grows during the first 3 years after a tree is planted. The Torah tells us in Sefer Vayikra, chapter 19, pasuk 23, that it is forbidden to eat orla or benefit from it in any way. A person who eats orla is punished with lashes, which is a standard punishment for violating a Torah prohibition. But the Mishnah tells us, En sofgin arba'im mishum orla. A person does not receive 40 lashes for drinking the juice of orla fruit, ela ala yotze min hazitim min ha'anavim, except for juice that comes from olives and grapes of orla, for which a person is given lashes. And the Mefarshim explain, although eating orla fruit is forbidden by the Torah, the juice of most fruits is not orla by Torah law, and therefore no lashes are given for drinking it. Olive oil and wine, however, are orla by Torah law, and a person who drinks them is given lashes. At any rate, the Rambam tells us in Hilchot Ma'achalot Asurot, chapter 10, halacha 22, that it is forbidden under rabbinic law midrabanan to drink any juice from orla fruit. Another halacha, the Mishnah says, Ve'en mivi'im bikurim mashkin. One may not bring fruit juices as bikurim, which we'll explain are the first fruits, ela yotzeh min hasitim min ha'anavim, except for the juice that comes from olives and grapes, meaning a person may not convert his first fruits into juice and bring the juice as bikurim. He may, however, bring the juice of his first olives and grapes as bikurim. And the Mefarshim quote us in chapter 3, halacha 7, where we discussed, chapter 3, Mishnah 7, where we discussed the order of the bikurim. The Mefarshim tell us, bikurim are the first fruits that ripen each year of the 7 species of produce for which Eretz Yisrael is praised, which is wheat, barley, grapes, figs, pomegranates, olives, and dates. The owner has to bring his bikurim to the Bet Mikdash, where he performs a certain ritual with them and gives them to a Kohen. It's spoken about in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 26, Psukim 1 to 11, and the Mishnah is informing us that from these first fruits you cannot convert it and bring its juice to the temple, except for the juice that comes from olives and grapes, which you can't convert to juice and bring it as bikurim to the temple. Another halakha, the Mishnah says, Ve'eno mitameh mishum mashkeh, and fruit juice does not acquire or transfer tumah as a beverage, meaning all fruit juices do not acquire tumah or transmit it to other things under the laws of tumah of a beverage, which we spoke about in Mishnah Bet. Ela yotzeh min hazitim u'min ha'anavim, except for the juice that comes from olives and grapes. Like we taught in the previous Mishnah, the Chachamim listed 7 liquids that are subject to the laws of tumah of a beverage, which we said were dew, water, wine, olive oil, blood, milk, and bee's honey. Now, wine and olive oil are the only fruit juices on the list. All other fruit juices are not on the list, and therefore they are not subject to the laws of Tumah. And the Mefarshim do tell us this was a matter of machloket in the previous Mishnah. Our Mishnah is following the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua, because again, Rabbi Eliezer was mitameh. He did say it was tameh. We're following Rabbi Yeshua. But that is another difference between fruit juice and the juice of olives and grapes. Final halakha in the Mishnah, Ven makrivin al gebe mizbech. We do not offer any fruit juice on the mizbech, on the altar, except for the juice that comes from olives and grapes. And the Mefarshim say fruit juices are not included in the ingredients of any offerings or libation, and therefore they may not be brought on the altar on the mizbeach. The exceptions are wine, which is poured on the altar as a libation with olah and shlamim offerings, and oil, which is an ingredient in most mincha offerings. And that is the end of Mishnah Gimel. Mishnah Dal moves on to discuss, we learned, only the edible part of a terumah fruit has terumah sanctity. Inedible stems and seeds have no sanctity. We spoke about this in chapter 10, Mishnah 5. We're going to speak about it, Bezrat Hashem, in Masechet Maasot, chapter 1, Mishnah 1. But the next two Mishnah, which only one we're going to do today, discusses the terumah status of certain parts of various fruits. The Mishnah says, Ukse te'enim, the stems of figs, ugrogaot, dried figs, vaklisim, a type of fig, vecharuvin, or carobs shel terumah of terumah, asurim lezarim, they are forbidden to non-kohanim. The stems of figs, dried figs, a type of fig, carobs of terumah are forbidden to non-kohanim. And the Mefarshim say, although an edible stem does not have terumah sanctity, the stems of these fruits are soft enough that they are regularly eaten along with the fruit, and therefore they have terumah sanctity. And that is in Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.